Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. We're here to talk about some midweek professional wrestling. I'm Eamon Payton, here as always. Mad Mike is not here this week. He's over at San Diego Comic-Con, hopefully not getting his arm broken by Pentagon Jr. But joining me this week to talk about the stuff that's happening in the midweek war, none other than Matt Carlins.
Eamon, it is a pleasure to be here. The balloons have fallen in Cleveland, and we are free and clear to proceed
I missed the
into the night. You missed the balloons?
I missed the balloons. The balloons took too long.
I tell you one thing. The absence of pyro for the Donald's entrance was noticeable and disappointing. But that's all I will say about the convention tonight. Otherwise, great show. So let's talk about happier things and less divisive things like professional wrestling.
Yes, less divisive things. I do want to give a quick note this week. We actually will be talking about Impact this week, mainly because of the new time. But also, neither of us really got to catch a lot of it this week. I saw some parts. I saw what happened in the main event. We've got a new champion of some sort, but who knows? But yeah, so we won't be covering it this week. Maybe we'll talk more about this week's episode next week on the show. But apologies, we weren't able to cover it. But we will right now be talking about NXT, diving into this week's episode of NXT. Obviously, big shakeups on Tuesday, so this was definitely a very interesting episode of NXT. Matt, what is your one word for NXT?
I got one word, and that is stacked. This show was stacked. A lot of good stuff going on here.
My word for this week is it goes to your lower third, by the way. Vote.
Vote for Rhino. That was great.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
We gave that Full Sail crowd a hard time last week, but I will give them credit for
that chant was great.
A clever and fun chant early in the show tonight. So good for them. Good for you, Full Sail. Stepping up.
Definitely. So let's dive right into it. Matt, what is your one good thing about NXT this week?
There was a lot of things that I liked, but I'm going to single out the match between Samoa Joe and Rhino simply for the fact that it just felt like the perfect showcase for the NXT champion Samoa Joe. He looked just awesome, badass. Rhino gave him a little bit of a fight, but not too much. And it's so refreshing to see a match that is built like that and just to see that kind of a match set up where you kind of expect that it could be a long back and forth kind of deal, but instead it turns into not a squash. Obviously, it was not a squash, but it was clearly designed and put together to establish that Samoa Joe is one bad dude who is nearly impossible to beat. In fact, Corey Graves decided to make that point at the very end and declared that he did not think anybody can beat Samoa Joe. Who can beat this man? Hey, that was the goal, and I thought they accomplished that brilliantly.
I also really love the idea of, now that Joe's champion, he's just running through all his former TNA buddies. Because this is him and he wrestled Eric Young, and that's all that's mainly the only matches he's had on NXT since winning the title. But yeah, I love it. We're just gonna get
Bobby Roode.
Right? Yeah, someone just Loki's just gonna be randomly show up, but just for a week, so Samoa Joe can beat him up.
That could be good. Eamon, how about you? What did you?
My good for this week goes to the main event: Bayley versus Nia Jax. We had two matches this week featuring some of the call-ups from NXT that are going up to the main roster, and I think both of them were really great send-offs. I particularly really love this match. Bayley and Nia have developed such a real great chemistry, I think, in their wrestling. They work very well together. Nia has definitely come into her own. This match made me real confident with Nia's call-up to the main roster. I thought this was a great match. I'm also I'm not the biggest fan of people taking well-known wrestling moves and just using them as their own. However, Nia Jax has full right to use the jackhammer because that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, that was great. and I very much prefer it over the powerbomb, which is just to the point where everybody does a powerbomb. Nobody does a jackhammer.
Yeah.
So to give her that and to do it, I think is good. I was a little bit worried for a second because it looked like she was going to darn near kill Bayley with it, but everyone walked away, so it's good. Nia will get a lot of reps and a lot of chances to make it work. So we'll give it.
I really liked it. I thought it was a really smart. It was also a really smartly put together match. I love the finish. It really plays the kind of like Nia's like not second guessing, but like in the first match. I think to the first match she had with Bayley in London, where she really took Bayley for granted, and that's what ended up costing her. I like that she almost kind of did the same thing here. She was going to go for the leg drop, but instead tried to second guess herself and tried to do a leg drop from the top rope. And that led to the Bayley to belly. I thought that was really well executed and really well done.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you. I think Bayley has gotten the best out of Nia, out of anyone else. So it'll be interesting once Nia gets up to the main roster to see what some of those main roster girls can get out of her as far as the matches go, because no one has really been able to get her as high as Bayley has. I don't even really think Asuka's matches with her have really come out as well as Bayley's have.
Yeah, they're very different, I think. Like, as far as just like kind of a well-worked, Bayley and Nia's are more story-driven, I feel. Mm-hmm. Like, they're very much, they take you on a journey throughout the match. Asuka and Nia kind of had that aspect of like, oh, they're going to hit each other really hard. And it was more based off of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Bayley's just that perfect underdog, and that just is not Asuka's deal. So I think in that just makes the pairing with Nia work that much better.
Which goes also to the like big talking point, like, oh, why aren't you calling out Bayley, at least for now? Because like Bayley's one of those people that like seems to work well with everyone. Like she's somebody who can have a good match with anyone, whether it's Sasha, Nia, Alexa Bliss, Carmella. She's proven she can deliver against all these different people.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to the people who are disappointed Bayley didn't get called up. I mean, it seems like it's about 6 or 7 months overdue.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I mean, they can't it's going to happen eventually. She's going to get called up eventually. I would think that at this stage of the game that the people in charge at WWE are waiting for that perfect time, that perfect spot. Bayley's not going to come in to do matches with Alexa Bliss on SmackDown. She's coming in to fight for that title.
Yeah.
And I think until Charlotte and Sasha resolve their deal, then Bayley's going to have to wait.
That's a good point, because if they don't, like, obviously the thing that they're probably going to do for SummerSlam is Charlotte Sasha. So, and I'm under the impression or the belief that there's a good chance Bayley could be the mystery partner at Battleground. But like you made a good point, like if that's the case, like then Bayley almost has to, at least for a month, like kind of fade into the background. But
yeah, it wouldn't do her much good to have to kind of come in with a big debut and then just kind of go to doing, God forbid, working main event matches. That's not the way to do it,
Yeah.
Wait until you've got the right moment to bring her in.
Especially because she has such that appeal and such that fan base to where you need to bring her in hard. Like, I've had friends, like, and I really do agree with this, she could be the female John Cena in the sense of being that role model, being that person that, sells the merchandise and does all that stuff for a different audience.
And, of course, all of this is contingent on Charlotte remaining the champion, so that doesn't work out for the Sasha Banks fans.
Well,
also, so it's interesting. But I guess the point stands. It's no fun right now, and it sucks when the whole arena is absolutely ready. When the main roster arena is absolutely ready for Bayley to debut, and they just don't get her. So hopefully, when she does come, it'll be perfect.
Yeah, definitely. What's your bad for this week on NXT?
Oh, let me try to be nice. Okay. All right. These backstage interview girls are the worst. I don't even know their names. All right. I know who Kathy Kelly is, but
I know Dasha Fuentes is one.
You know what?
Dasha, I think, does ring announcing now.
She does do ring announcing. You know what? I hate to be this way, but I got to lump her in on this one too.
Yeah.
I've seen Dasha do ring announcing at even at live events, and she is lovely and very confident. But I don't like. I can't believe I'm nitpicking a ring announcer for my bad. But she just didn't have that sizzle on her introduction. She's kind of like. I just feels like she needs to find a little bit more oomph when she's introducing. She can't be like, "It's Bayley." She's got to be like, "It's Bayley." Like you got to remember too. I watched Melissa Santos do her thing.
Yeah,
Melissa Santos is on the entire opposite end of the spectrum to the point where I'm like, "Well, Melissa, maybe bring it in just a little bit," you know.
But Melissa, I think the key with Melissa is that she stands out. Like that's the kind of issue with the women ring announcers. It's just some of them kind of like they blend. Like I can't tell them apart a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Like I could just hear their voice. I'm like I couldn't tell you which one of them isn't. Like if it's Dasha, like because Dasha sounds like JoJo a bit. Like it sounds, you know, they all sound the same. As much as I didn't like him in the beginning, like creepy Greg. Like
yeah,
Greg Hamilton at least sounded different.
I'm actually starting to enjoy Greg a little bit.
Yeah, like because his voice is different.
But they also had this gaggle of guys who are none of them are here anymore, but they all look the same. And so they cleared all of those guys. Now they've got this gaggle of women. They all look the same too. What the hell is the point? You know, the only ones that you remember is someone like Renee because she doesn't look like anybody else, or Greg because he's fortunate enough to not have dark hair, and you know.
And there's like a skinnier Tom Phillips now. And it's like, okay.
I know, yeah. I'm like, who is this guy? Yeah, I mean, you know what? Variety. Variety is the spice of life, you know? We can't have every single wrestler looking the same and every single ring announcer and backstage interviewer looking the same. We need some different kinds of people. So maybe that's kind of the point that I'm getting to. But it's like. But to get back to my point, that first backstage interview, who were they talking to?
It was Asuka.
Was it Asuka? That was damn awful. And
also because it's like
I'm not going to blame Asuka because Asuka is learning the language, but I could barely tell that the interviewer was. I assume English is her first language, but honestly, I can't be too sure after watching that.
Yeah, it's very hard to kind of. It's almost like NXT and TNA are on like two different spectrums. They all like NXT goes through these brunette women that constantly do backstage interviews and stuff like that, and then TNA goes through a bunch of blondes.
Yeah, it's weird. But at the end of the day, don't act like you're reading a script when you're doing a backstage interview. I mean, we just got done watching the draft a couple nights ago. Where Kalisto just absolutely blew a tire during one of his interviews. And I'm sitting there watching this, and, I want to take it easy on these interviewers because I don't want to hold them to an unreasonable standard, but I'm sitting there watching that thinking, I wonder if Mean Gene could have saved this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm like, but you don't have that guy.
But also Mean Gene was in an era where you could ad-lib. The issue is not just the people, but the fact that they're taught not to ad-lib.
Right, but I also think that I'd like to think that Mean Gene earned that right, and earned that the authority to jump in when he felt necessary through his experience and his knowledge over all those years.
Yeah.
So I sit there watching an interview of some poor wrestler kind of lose it, and I'm wondering, there is no backstage interviewer who could have bailed this poor wrestler out. And there was a time when you had people like that.
Right. No, I agree completely.
Yeah. Okay, what was your bad for this week?
My bad for this week is going to go to, and as much as I'm happy about it, the Hideo Itami announcement. Mainly because I think other than the promo package, they didn't really touch on it a lot. You know what I mean? They didn't treat it like, oh, this is going to be a big deal. You know what I mean? The Hideo's back. Like,
I'm glad they're giving it a couple weeks at least. When I saw the video package, my first thought was, good, I'm glad they're not just bringing them back out of the blue. I'm glad they're giving us a couple weeks to at least anticipate it.
Yeah. I yes and no, like, because I also, like, I want him just to be brought in as a big deal, though. Like, I want him to be a big deal when he comes back. So, I don't know. I'm kind of, I wish they would have at least touched on him more. You know what I mean? And just been like, oh my, after over a year, whatever, Hideo's back in NXT. Like, commentators didn't really even mention it, which kind of sucked.
Well, the good news is that they have a couple weeks to play that out. It's going to be really interesting when Hideo comes back because, I mean, he could come back and be unbelievable, or he could come back and maybe feel like he's not all the way there, kind of like how he was before he was injured.
My hope
felt like, man, we are so close. Just get right over the top.
Right. My hope, and the thing that makes me hopeful, is that there's so many people in NXT right now who he has worked with in the past. You got Joe. I don't think he's worked Nakamura, but Nakamura is very similar style, obviously. Aries and guys like that. Like, there's guys who he has wrestled with in the past and has delivered amazing matches. So I think that will benefit him. I think it was interesting because Hideo was the first guy that NXT brought in and signed as like a top, talent in the world thing.
The hottest free agent in wrestling. He assumed that mantle.
That was
has been passed around by many men since then.
He was the first one. He was the first one to be like, this guy's a big deal, this place. Like, even Sami Zayn, like, Sami got signed and he worked in developmental a bit, and then he just got brought out as a spot on TV. Hideo was the first, like, this guy is signed. And at that time, you had Finn and Owens, but, like, you were still testing the waters of how those people were going to come together. Now you've got Joe, you got Nakamura, you got Aries. If the reports are true, Kota Ibushi-san. Like, there's so much more people that I think can alleviate the issue that Hideo had in the beginning, which was he was too naive, not naive. He was he dialed it back too much of it in the beginning because he was worried, like, to go full force.
Yeah. I did. He never seemed fully comfortable. I'm hoping that he's going to get a chance to really deliver. I have a question for you real quick. One it just popped into my head, and it's been so long, you may have forgotten to ask this question as well. Mm-hmm. Who do you think jumped Hideo in the parking lot and injured his shoulder?
I have a feeling they're just going to drop it.
You don't think they're going to pay that off?
I think they're just going to be like, oh, Owens did it.
But the funny part is, like, I'm trying to think of anyone who was on the roster who was not there.
Well, the choice was
that
Finn.
time, and I'm like,
the choice was like Finn
or Owens, right?
Finn, but Finn's gone now, obviously.
Yeah, they're both gone. So you need
maybe Joe, just because Joe came in on the same night.
What, did he come in on that same night?
He came in on the same night.
Didn't he? Well, that would make sense. That's not too bad.
But everyone else.
Think of anybody else who was there? Ty Dillinger? Did Ty Dillinger attack him?
Yeah, everyone else.
The authors of pain.
Yeah, it'll be. I have a feeling they'll drop it, but hey, if they do something with it, cool. Yeah,
that'd be good. And actually, that's quite a brilliant out by you to recognize that was the night Joe came back. That's a perfect thing to do. Let's set up Joe versus Hideo. It's right there. That idea is free. Take this, Hunter, as a gift for the rest of the year. Enjoy.
Definitely. But yeah, I said my bad. What would be your change for this week?
Yes, not all shows are perfect. My change for this week, I hate to say it, Patrick Clark's tights.
Oh,
it's too much.
Do you know why? Do you realize why he's wearing those tights though?
I have no idea. I hope it's for a really good reason.
Well,
make me feel guilty about calling him out.
Well, I was gonna say on the Florida. No, you're not gonna feel guilty. But on the Florida house shows, from what I heard from reports, he was trying out this gimmick where it was very much playing into the whole like Donald Trump thing.
Yeah.
It was basically make Darren Young great again before Darren Young got the gimmick. Good. So yeah, I don't know. He was fine. I didn't, his match with Aries was.
No, he was great. It's just the tights.
It was very weird.
Do you have another pair anywhere? You go with this? All right. So good too.
Yeah.
How about
you? My change for this week, and I'm in between because I really like the match. However, part of me says that. Part of me feels American Alpha may have gotten a bit too much offense in on the Authors of Pain. I guess I can kind of see it because it's American Alpha's last NXT match basically. So it's basically concluding the feud basically between those two. But
it was kind of cool how like they almost put the Authors of Pain over twice. They let them jump them on the ramp, and then they came in and did the match, and then they put them over again. So
yeah,
I mean, good on them. I came away from the match a little bit disappointed. I felt like, you know what? I think I could have gone for a little bit more of this feud. I liked the way they got together. I liked American Alpha as like the definitive underdog, not like the Revival are really good, but like legit intimidating, bad-looking dudes, and the American Alpha having to, find another gear. I kind of like that dynamic, and it's too bad because I don't think we're going to find it on the main roster either for these guys. At least not
probably
immediately.
not. Yeah, especially where they are, because it's like they're not with the tag, like all the tag teams, but like the top tag teams right now, so they're going to kind of be the big fish in a small pond, I feel.
Yeah, there's really nothing. Maybe if the Wyatts get back together after Harper comes back, maybe that could be a nice deal for them.
Because other than them, like on SmackDown, they just got like the Vaudevillains, which I mean they'll probably be good, and like Breeze Dango, and
Fabrice.
Yeah, I call them Fabrice.
It should be called Fabrice, but I understand why they can't call them Fabrice. But
they should probably still call them that.
Just one more thing about the Authors of Pain, and I feel very bad for Tom Phillips that he was not briefed on their names, and he was apparently forced to make up names for the Authors of Pain. I believe he referred to the one as Big Tattoo during the match. So, you know what? In NXT, if they don't give you a name, you just make one up. That's where we got Blue Pants. So Big Tattoo will probably stick, and we need to come up with a goofy nickname for the other guy now.
Yeah. Another slight change that also has to do with that match. I think Paul Ellering needs to start talking by now.
Yeah, standing around isn't doing it.
Paul Ellering, especially when you're a manager, like he's brought in to be a manager, so he's such a great talker. Like you clearly brought him in for a reason. Have him talk. Hopefully he'll do it after this, but yeah, he needs to start talking.
Well, he's going to talk eventually, and we can all look forward to it because I'm sure he'll deliver. And the longer he waits, the bigger of a deal it's going to be when he actually does talk.
I'm just excited for him to finally talk about how he's now in the era of the web, the era of the internet, like he did in '98.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
Well, a lot of us did. I blinked on the team, but Disciples of Apocalypse was not a happy time. But yeah, that was NXT for this week. Matt, where did you rank the show? Out of the two shows you see?
You know what? NXT was really good this week. I really enjoyed it. It was loaded top to bottom. It felt like there was, and I came off of the draft, and all those guys from NXT, all those guys and girls from NXT got called up, and I sat here and I realized, it's time for NXT this on Wednesday. I'm like, well, who the hell is left? What are we going to do? Well, I watched NXT and I saw they still have a lot left. They still got a ton of talent down there. So
Brooklyn's very
there's still great reason for hope. I really thought NXT was really good, but I can't in good conscience put it over Ultima Luchados Part 3. I mean, Ultima Luchados we'll get into it later. I'll tell you why. I think it was just that much better than NXT, but I got to hand it to NXT for putting on an absolutely fantastic show. Probably one of the best episodes of NXT I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm also going to make it number 2. Good action this week. Really great matches. And like Matt said, things are still going to be looking good. I'm interested to see how Brooklyn shakes up because we know a couple matches, obviously, from what we can tell. But like, there's still a lot of matches that I'm still wondering how they're going to go with things. So yeah, Brooklyn's going to be interesting. Go ahead.
I was just going to say A-Double versus No Way Jose. That's all you need to know.
Oh, we didn't even talk about it. Yeah, I like No Way, serious No Way Jose.
Oh man, so intense! I'm looking forward to that match. It's so goofy, but yeah, you're right. I liked how No Way Jose flipped that switch, and he found his serious mode. That's good.
And he looked serious. Like
Yeah, he looked intense. He looked ready to go. So
yeah, I'm very excited for that match. Like of all the matches like you could have posed with the NXT roster, I wouldn't think I'd be excited for Austin Aries versus No Way Jose, but I am.
And they did replay the heel turn video again, which they should probably do in every episode from this point forward, because it's the damn greatest thing.
Yeah, Austin Aries dad dancing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was NXT for this week. Matt Carlins, where can people find you on the internet?
Find me on Twitter at MainstreamMatt with 1 T, and I'll try to feed some fantastic professional wrestling insights your way. Go to IndieWrestling.us, where I'm still writing a weekly Around the Indies column for all of you kids. Keep up with your favorite amateur falling downers, and enjoy that. Eamon, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Eamon2Please, and also check out the wrestling promotion I'm involved with, Inspire Pro Wrestling, over at InspireProWrestling.com. We've got stars from Lucha Underground, stars that are in the Cruiserweight Classic that are going to be on our next event on August 14th. So be sure to get more information on that over there. And yeah, also follow us on Twitter at Mayhem Show. Go vote. The poll is now up on the Twitter and on our Facebook page. Who won this year's Mayhem Draft? We have the full list of our rosters and our SummerSlam cards that we fantasy booked over at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. And then go to either Twitter or Facebook or both and vote for which team you feel was victorious, Team Raw or Team SmackDown. For myself, for Matt Carlins, this has been the Midweek War.